Hello and welcome to Talks Around the Teapot,
featuring our special guest, Mr. Wellington Boot. I don't know if you can see him. He is my puppy. Big thank you to Mum Attack for looking after him while we filmed the last 4 episodes. He's a very sleepy boy.
He is, but he'll just be sleeping here. And even if you can't see him, you'll know in your hearts that there is a puppy in this episode of Talks Around the Teapot, and that's pretty special.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what else is special about this episode of Talks Around the Teapot?
What? Yes! Oh my god. So, let's open with yet another thank you shout out to Lucky Leaf Teas. Anybody who is an OG who watched our Talks Around the Teapot sort of wrap up post Act 1 episode will know that we tried a bunch of teas. By a bunch, I mean the Fighter Tea and the Sorcerer Tea from Lucky Leaf Teas, which are a beautiful little company that do D&D class-themed teas. And yeah, we were sent free samples of 2 other classes. I think we said in that episode, one of them is going to become relevant in Act 2, because we already knew, because we were ahead of filming schedule. But I think this lot of episodes that have just gone out has made it very obvious knowledge enough that we can now try Warlock's Warning. So we have a pot of that brewing.
What is it?
It is... I'm going to read the whole description because I love the way they write the descriptions. Warlock's packs are filled with dark layers and hard-won gifts, so we've blended powerful wood-smoked black teas with maple syrup to give you a taste of the Warlock's balance of risk and reward.
Nice.
So yeah, it smells so good if everyone wants a sniff test because it smells so good.
Oh, it smells like...
so good.
It smells like a cabin in the woods.
It smells like Lilith.
It does not smell like Lilith. It's much nicer.
That is...
No, it smells like dark magic, like seductive dark magic. That smells like to me.
Yeah. I like
If the sorcerer's one smells like magic, like good magic, this to me smells like Lilith's magic.
And
okay, but we're not saying that all warlocks are bad.
No.
And
I love warlocks. I would be a warlock main if I wasn't playing this campaign. I'm obsessed, actually.
in my cute little teapot, I've got another bit of the fighter fuel.
Yeah, we were drinking Sorcerer's Spice throughout the episode, or the 2 of us were, and you were drinking Fighter's Fuel. You had both, didn't you?
I had both.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shout out to Lucky Leaf. If you're looking for, like, a gift for a D&D person, or a tea person, or the Venn diagram middle, that's what you should do. So,
where do we
Jesus
start?
Christ.
So right at the beginning was the morning waking up with the pearls, the black pearls.
God, yeah. So I was informed that morning, the start of that episode, I found out I was getting a governess, which is frankly infantilizing. I'll say it. At this point in my life. But yeah, I found that out, and I found out Archibald would be going home.
To speak to the she-devil.
And that was kind of that, for me.
I'm intrigued on how that's going to go, because Archibald's really like, oh, she's going to love it and it's going to be great.
Yes.
And I'm really like, no, she's not.
The thing is with that is that Archibald is obviously, like, what Archibald has been led to believe is that he's been writing letters and it's just, like, an issue with the post that none of them have got through. And, like, respectfully, Georgiana is going to be fuming. Georgiana's going to take down the postal service.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't think she's going to actively not believe it, because Archibald is telling, like, what he believes to be the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, she trusts Archibald, like, the most of all her kids. Like, that is the most together, competent, adult mini Frederick one. But at the same time, like, she's gonna be pissed because, like, we thought you were missing for a month, you know? And now you're coming back and you're saying not only did you, like, find Rosalind, you didn't send her home. And, like, you've arranged a marriage without me knowing it. And, like, that's... Because, like, the thing is, nobody in the Penhallow family can be mad at the marriage. It's a really good marriage. Like, it's what they would have wanted for her. But it's just the fact that it was done, like, with Georgiana not involved at all.
Yeah.
That she's going to be mad at.
Speedy marriage.
It's giving you're pregnant. It's giving Rosalind ran away to this man who I know has been writing to her for years, who she danced with twice on her birthday, like, a few months ago. And now they're suddenly married very quickly. When this is like a 34-year-old bachelor, this is a man who is so prominent in society, who everyone wants their daughter to marry, and he's not been married yet, and he hasn't really showed a sign of wanting to marry.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like Rosalind is pregnant.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Oh, and he's also telling her about my hand.
Yeah, which we still don't know.
I know, and in that last episode, I was sort of trying to get to asking, what do I need to know to tell people? And the conversation moved on so swiftly in such a direction that actually never got explained to me. But I
think the opportunity is there now.
Yeah. Well, now I can just be like, the dynamic in that house is very, very different now in terms of who has the power.
Yeah, because it's also... Well, it's got its pros and its cons, and we are getting ahead, as always.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there. What were you going to say?
Wait. I'll hold on till the end.
Unless you think you're going to forget it.
Meh.
Okay.
Anyway, we found out about Archibald, and then
You too.
got sent away from the table. We, spoke to Rose. I almost cried because Rose talked about buying shoes, and I was like, my girlfriend likes shoes.
And neither of you fucking realised it was the cobbler from the Ratcliffe Runners.
Yeah, but I think that's on our memory, not on our character's memory.
Because I was really sat here like... The cobbler.
Respectfully.
The cobbler. And then Lyndon clocked me and was like... And I was like, I'm not in the scene.
It's been so many months since we filmed the episode where we found out that the cobbler was the head of the Ratcliffe Runners.
I don't know why I remember everything about this campaign, but I do.
That's not the girls forgetting. That's us not remembering because it's been too long.
I think I had a realisation when Richard was talking about the cobbler later on.
Yeah.
I was like, the cobbler.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But I think I also I don't know terms or care enough about the fact that shoes are bought from cobblers. You know?
That's fair. Yeah.
To be like, oh, she wants to buy shoes, that means going to the cobblers.
Right,
the cobbler is the head of
That's true.
You know? I was just like, oh, you want to buy shoes? We'll go to a shop and buy shoes.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, there is that.
But yeah, we were sent away, and we, of course, have not watched this footage yet because we filmed talks right after the last episode we filmed.
I'm assuming we will be allowed to.
Well, because we now basically know what happened.
Yeah.
You know more than I do because you were back in sooner. But yeah,
I don't know much.
So you two were asked to stay at the table, and in my head I was like, either Thomas is about to break up with Agatha, or he's about to die, and that came to fruition when Lyndon mentioned gunshots. I bet he's over there. Yeah, he's smiling. And I was like, oh yeah, Thomas is dead. That was a bit of a shock. I haven't really, fully processed it. I feel like I'm in actual mourning, which is weird. It was...
But this is a character who's been with us since episode 10.
Yeah.
Episode 10?
I'm pretty sure, or 11, I think, is when you go to the brothel for the first time.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, it's early.
It is. It's really early. And from that first episode, Thomas is the one that we, as a party and the audience, have connected to.
Thomas is one of the few people that Talia would, actively not kill.
Thomas is such a beautiful character, and I can't believe that happened.
It's quite graphic, actually. I will warn you.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I feel like Lyndon really went ham on the graphic of everything.
A lot of the last 4 episodes, we really said, hey, remember we're a horror show? Hey, remember demons in the title? Yeah, that. Hey, remember we're a D&D game?
Yeah.
We kind of... I feel like Lyndon's just ramped it up into the next stage of the game.
Which is Act 2, so obviously, but I'm really
I'm still shook by it.
I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, that because at first I was just trying to stay calm, he's not, he's been shot but he's not dead yet. I think the minute I broke down, if I remember right, Lyndon said there's a gunshot and then blood splatters onto your face.
My God.
And I was like, oh shit. Okay, yep. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore.
It's so horrible that you were alone for that, because even when we're not in the scene, there's a level of support that is had by just having other bodies at the table, and you were alone. That's horrendous, actually.
I do get why we were sent away though, because we are distracting.
Yeah.
We would have been so responding in the biggest way ever.
That's why I didn't send you away because you were distracting. I sent you away because you were comfort.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I
That
said.
makes sense.
But
And then you were at the table by yourself for a bit after that.
I was.
Yeah.
yeah, what was that? Because, oh my god, I really like. Cause so me and Maijai were sat when we had been sent away, and we were like, "Oh, what's happening? What's happening?" And we could sort of hear shouting at one point, and then we could hear Morne crying. And we were like, "Oh god!" And then Maijai gets called back in, and Morne comes out like sobbing, and we just like sit in the back room like with Morne in tears, and I was just sat there like, "Oh, I know what's just happened," but like I don't, and I can't say, but like, fuck. What happened to you?
Cards.
What do you mean? Explain.
Did you?
Because how were you out with Rose? Like,
I was sat at the breakfast table.
Because you. How did you know that it was either going to be me or me or Thomas? Because you
didn't.
You didn't. You just made the assumption.
No. So I knew that somebody had died. I knew that somebody important had died.
Yeah.
And I had 3 places to check. I had to check on you, I had to check on you, and I had the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
I was like, those are the only 3 places where there are important people.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to do, so I went to Richard, who was like, okay, we'll check everybody here, and everybody here was okay. And then because you guys had just left, he was like, the next place we go is to look for you. Because we know where you've gone, and we know that you've just left, so you'll be easy to check in on. The butcher isn't that far away.
Yeah. Okay.
So it would have been you, and then it would have probably been the Brotherhood, because
Easy.
if it was you, we would have needed the backup of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
So I think that's the order that it would have happened, but because you were the closest, you happened first.
Right, okay, that makes sense. Because I did think it was weird when, like, I came and sat down and you were, like, making your way to the docks, and I was like, how do you know I'm at the docks then?
Yeah, so we had gone to find you, and the crowds were, like, busy, and there was, like, 1 dead man was still there.
Yeah, I was there for that,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
was the man that I shot.
Yeah.
Slay.
And then we, like, couldn't really figure out where you were, but they pointed off in the direction that you, like, that you guys had gone. And that's where we saw Duna.
Yeah.
Right.
But
so she
basically...
was just there, like she wasn't in her...
No, Agatha had gone to the...
I see.
I was like, before I take him to the masquerade, I need to see if, like, anything can be done first.
Yeah.
So
How did you get him there?
there were like 3 random men and they offered me a cart.
Oh my god.
So we oh god.
Oh.
Poor Thomas was just on a cart just being pushed around London.
Jesus.
To answer your question, I was told to turn over the top card because I knew something awful had happened, and I got the death card.
Right.
Dear.
Great. Love that.
Yeah,
Love these cards so much.
Talia found Agatha at Duna's, and obviously there's Thomas
Jesus.
bleeding out on a cart.
Oh
Well, I
my
mean, not even
God.
bleeding out at this point, already dead.
Oh my god.
Well, it was weird because it was one of those where, like, I'd like to say that I, as a player, knew that, like, Agatha wasn't dead, but I really wasn't sure.
I feel like you could have made the fact that, like, it was only me at the table. Like, who was I with? I was with Thomas.
Yeah.
It has to be Thomas then.
But does it?
I guess not.
Yeah.
Not with the hit points that you've got,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I guess.
And, like, for Talia,
Yeah.
it was really, like, it's one of them, and it was one of those where it was really, like, she was so, like, I don't want it to be either of them. And it was really that weighing up of, like, who do I want it to be less? Because, like, Agatha has been her friend for so much longer, but she also knows how much Thomas means to Agatha. And, like, Thomas is, again, one of the only friends that Talia has. So it was really, like, and she couldn't do it. She was really like, I don't want it to be either of them. It has to be somebody else. Like,
I can't believe he's, like, gone.
It was awful. I can't imagine what it's like for you.
Yeah. You are our strongest soldier.
I don't know, because if this is how I'm reacting about an NPC, I can't imagine what would happen if one of you...
Well,
We're just not going to.
But the thing that I think it did if it had any sort of positive effect, I have never before more felt, seen and understood the love between Talia and Agatha.
That is true.
And it was beautiful. And then the way over the 4 episodes, and I'm getting ahead, but we will get there, that developed into what it was in the last episode was so so good to watch, because a lot of those parts I was, you know, very out of character at the table watching, because I knew Rosalind didn't know anything, so I kind of couldn't connect any of it to Rosalind feelings or Rosalind's face. So I was Taya at the table when I wasn't engaged for a lot of the time in this 4 episodes, and I felt like I got a bit of a viewer's perspective. And it was this dynamic that was so beautiful.
And it's kind of like callback to way at the beginning. It's giving like the girls at White's.
Yeah.
But like the progression of that.
In a completely different way though.
But it's also like it all happened in Ratcliffe, which was where your dynamic first sort of got interrogated and fell apart when all the journal stuff and all the drug stuff happened, and you two were really like at odds. And it was all about your relationship and the fact that like Agatha didn't feel like Talia cared about her. And then this 4 episodes was just all over those same locations in Ratcliffe, and all it was like how overwhelmingly Talia cares about Agatha.
Yeah.
And that was just beautiful. Like, honestly, so beautiful.
I definitely saw that. Like, even when you placed the death card on Thomas's chest and like Agatha was watching, there wasn't a moment of being like, oh, so you knew the whole time. For me, it was like, I don't know. It was just like I don't know. I just didn't feel like I.
Yeah, it was like it wasn't an homage, but it was really. It was like. I don't really know what it was, but it was meant as a closing gesture towards him rather than like.
Yeah.
You know, my foot's gone dead, my sweetheart.
Oh no!
Time for puppy shift.
Oh, I'm so sorry, my
he's
baby.
been awoken.
I know.
It's alright.
Tell you what, it's very comforting, but he's very warm. We're in the middle of a heat wave. But I don't really know why she did it either, because like when she put that card down, we were leaving Duna's.
Yeah.
And like we were leaving Thomas's body behind.
Oh yeah, Thomas's body is just on the floor of Duna's right now.
Why?
Because we had to get back to the masquerade and like defend, like we weren't. Richard was really like we can't
So
go.
he is just on the floor.
God, I understand
Talia would
so
have
much
fought Richard
more.
for you.
I understand so much more now, like why you were so obsessed with burying him and giving him a funeral.
Yeah.
I thought his body was at the masquerade at least.
No.
Jesus.
He's on
Duna's
floor.
floor.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Being looked after, but like.
Oh yeah, I told her to clean him.
Yeah. But no, like. Yeah. Talia really would have gone up against anybody that you asked her to. Like, if it was really like, no, we're doing this and I can't do anything until this happens, like, Talia would have fought Richard.
Yeah, I could see that.
I love that. I think this was another... It's really interesting, because this was another 4 episodes where I think you actually really saw the good parts of Talia.
Yeah.
And, like, despite the fact that you scare Madam with how cold you are, like, you know, it doesn't, you know... That doesn't cancel out all the good that is in Talia. But yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that we're burying him at the same tree that Eloise
I figured.
Yeah.
I did figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Talia's suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the warlock. I don't feel like
and then what happened after that? We went back to the masquerade.
It was
Richard let everyone know what had happened.
Yeah. And Madam B, like,
she was
broke through something, as far as we know.
Yeah, I was there at that point.
Right.
Right, okay.
This was when I came back in, I think, for the 2nd episode. And that was quite a horrendous experience as Taya, like, as a player. Because
it hadn't been confirmed
Because this
yet
was the
for
thing,
you.
I knew when I saw your face, and by the fact that it had been you two alone, and you were alone at the table. And... Then I came back in and it still wasn't really confirmed for so long.
That's well good, by
I'm
the way.
excited.
I don't think I saw you, like, realise, shit, he is dead until I think
there was a mention of the
buried.
body.
Yeah.
There was a mention of a funeral.
Yeah.
And it was obvious that's what you were talking about, and, like, everybody was in such grief, but, like, there was still a part of me that was like, oh, but it's
I
not
hope,
confirmed.
I hope.
Like, it could be something else. And I did also have, like, the only Rosalind energy that I had on me at any point was... I'm the reason he's dead because you now don't have a healer because I left you. So that's going to be fun when Rosalind finds out he's dead.
But, and because this is the thing, it's one of the reasons we didn't, it's
Tell
one of the
Rosalind.
reasons why Talia didn't suggest that we told Rosalind that Thomas was dead from the start.
Yeah.
Partly because of that, because like Talia's dealing with the same
Talia knows, and Talia knows that's how Rosalind will feel.
Yeah,
you know.
but Talia's also dealing with the same thing of, I
wasn't there.
I had the thought to go with you, and then I didn't. And again, I think it'll be one of those where like Rosalind will deal with that. But I think once they're in person and the situation is explained, it takes that away a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it will, really. But I think the context does make it better. Because I think hearing it completely out would have taken her out so much worse.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Especially in only 25 words. And like, if you had any questions, I did just not answer you.
The more...
And then you would have had to deal with it on your own.
This is the thing. I think the more I reflect on it as we get further away from that episode, the more grateful I am for Taya and Agatha that they didn't tell Rosalind. Yeah. Because the thing was, like, if they had told her, she would have been there, you know, and she would have done what she had to do, and I don't think any of the conversations she did end up happening would have happened. Yeah. But we'll get there when we get there. And
it would have just been, like, she would have been more unsafe about the way that she went about it.
100%, because she would have just got there. Like, she would have just had to. And again, it's that, like, there would have been no comfort, no context. Yeah. It would have been such a shock, and all she would have had was, I wasn't there and I'm the healer. Yeah. I have removed the healer from this group. Anyone who dies now is because I'm not there to heal you, you know? Whereas she is still going to have those feelings and thoughts, but, like, the context of learning about a death is going to be so much nicer than in 25 words. Exactly. Where she then just has to sit and smile and pretend in this house. Like,
because the other thing is, even if Rosalind hadn't left, chances are Agatha and Thomas would have still left on their own. Yeah. Yeah. It's not certain, but, like, the chances are they wouldn't have gone because it was just a trip to the butcher's. Good. Right?
Oh, I like that.
Like, we were just going to get some sausages.
It was just Thomas a tiny thing.
That is so yummy.
Oh my god. So good. The maple syrup.
Shout out Warlock's Warning.
The maple syrup is
by Lucky
really
Leaf
good.
Teas. This is so good.
So it's like, as much as Rosalind will still blame herself for it, there is the very strong argument that, like, Talia's already had the thought of. Of, like, we literally weren't there. Like, we wouldn't have been there. Yeah. Even if you were still, like,
and
with
that's
us.
the thing. Like, I think...
Which I don't think she would do for herself.
No. If that being in person is now something Talia can tell Rosalind. Yeah. Which will, I think, make at least some difference.
No, all your tiny hairs coming out of your face, because he's only 5 months old.
He is baby.
By the time this comes out, he'll be like...
Oh my god, yeah, he'll be more grown up. Yeah. Oh, he's so gorgeous and peaceful.
Sorry, we will stop getting distracted by the dog.
But he's kind of, we need the dog therapy after this episode. So yeah, that was when I was back in, and I think I cried at the table as Taya, which is an experience I've never had before. Like, because that was nothing to do with Rosalind. You know, she didn't know shit. Like, and I think I actually did really good at separating that out, and Rosalind not knowing anything.
That is props to DM, having created a character that 3 people cried over the death of.
Like, out of character.
Out of character.
Like, out of... Because I was just like, oh god, no. And, like, the more you described... And I think it was interesting, because, like I said, I sort of had a viewer's perspective on it, whereas you guys were kind of in it as your characters. But just hearing the way Lyndon described the, like, waves of grief, like, going through the building and everyone's different response, like, and the energy here at the table and the energy in the Velvet Masquerade that I could, like, feel as a viewer, like, I was, like, oh my god, it was so awful and so beautifully done. Like,
I think he's asleep. Oh no, he's not.
He has nothing to add, but he did a very good job.
Yes. Well done.
Well done for destroying us all. Oh my god, and when you went through his stuff in his room.
I found the locket!
With his parents.
Imagine it's not. Imagine it's just random.
It's just a couple he banged once.
Yeah. I mean...
But, like, he died the same way his parents did. Like, just shot by criminals. And that is what gets me. Like, that's what kills me.
Hadn't even put it together.
Yeah. That was what is so heart-wrenching.
And that's why he was so scared, you know?
Yes, because he had just been
being triggered from when he was, like, a 4-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like...
And the fact that, like, was it Jonathan earlier being like, oh yeah, Thomas's parents are dead.
Oh my god, yeah!
Yeah.
Fuck Jonathan,
Lyndon.
actually, for that. Lyndon!
Not only is Thomas just being like, oh, why is this... Why are my parents being brought up right here? And then dies in the same way that they did. Like...
Minutes later. God, that was horrendous.
Yeah.
I love Thomas so much. I'm actually so I just can't imagine how you feel right now.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
But even just like as...
Hello?
Bring him back then.
I wanted to!
Do it. Bring him back.
No,
I
but-
dare you.
We're all low levels for that.
Yeah. But that was another one of the things of like... I don't know, because there was a part where I was like, oh no, like, Agatha is going to try and bring him back and it is going to go wrong. But then, like, as soon as it sort of came up in conversation, I was like, she's not going to do it. Like, as soon as, because you were the one who brought up, like, he'll be different. And from that, I was like, you're not going to do it. Because you wouldn't.
I'm not taking that risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even just, like, not even on, like, an emotional level, I really love Thomas as a character.
This is what
like,
I
I'm
was about
sad
to
that none of
say,
his
like,
interactions are going to be there anymore.
Absolute, like, yeah, it was definitely, I think, you know, the dice did what they did.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of an actual play, and that's the nature of, you know,
Yeah.
TTRPG games. But it's also, and like this form of storytelling, but at the same time, like, and it is right for the story, because that's what happened. But it's also like a loss for the show and for us of this beautiful character who was beautiful and added so much to so many dynamics, you know?
Yeah.
Because, like, regardless of this relationship, which, you know, is obviously the most beautiful and big thing that Thomas was part of, like, your friendship with Thomas was its own thing. Like, Thomas's role in the Velvet Masquerade, like, Thomas's role in the show as the only sort of known pacifist who didn't want to be involved in any of the violence. And, like, that was such a rooted part of who he was. Like, he was just so beautiful. And I don't have anything else to say on that. I'm emotional.
So what happened next?
I
I think
You prepared for war?
Yeah.
Richard kept being like, this is war now. Like, they've declared a war.
This was the first time, and this is jumping ahead to the actual battle, kind of, where I was really split on, like, let's go fucking kill people, slay, and, like, I actually don't know if this is the right move, guys.
Do you think that's because of Thomas's death? Like that? Do you think that's what had affected Talia?
I did have that thought. I was like, is it right for me to avenge his death by killing people the way that I know he does not like?
Yeah, because I think this was the underlying thing for me, is like, and it's partly from before, it's partly the whole, like, Talia going mental and going to the Viscounts and killing his butler or whoever it was. And, like, the aftermath of that, which, like, she doesn't really care, but she is aware that she reacts too quickly with violence. Yeah. And I think I really felt that in this one, then going into the battle, a lot more than I thought I would. Like, I thought I would go in, like, guns blazing, and I did enjoy it, but in a different way.
I'm really interested, like, when we get there properly, like, both of you in the battle was so interesting. Again, like, I was so enthralled, honestly, by both of you this whole time.
At the very beginning of the battle, you were kind of the one, like, taking the lead. You were like, oh, I smell blood, Richard helped you, but you broke the door down, you went upstairs, and you were the first one in the building. Agatha stayed outside for a bit.
Yeah.
But you went in because you heard the kids.
Yeah.
No, the first one with the 5 dead men. Yeah. I went in because I smelled blood and I was like, oh, they're probably already dead.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
But then the second one was to save kids.
Yeah.
No, I had the kids once I was in there.
Oh, okay.
But before the battle happened,
yes,
you had a conversation.
With
I had many conversations.
Someone?
You had several conversations.
I had so many that I, like, don't know.
Just playing.
I don't know, like, what
I love playing food.
happened at what amount. But so it started with my governess arrived and she was not normal. Like, there was something going on. I was very caught off guard, I think, by it. Like, I didn't know what was going on. Rosalind had no idea what was going on. Like, yeah. She was... Do you know what? I will read out my notes about this conversation because I think they sum it up better than I actually can off the top of my head. What I wrote was, Miss Thorncroft, and then I wrote a little description of her as Lyndon said it. And then because I'd realised the moment I had before he like introduced her properly in the game, I was like, oh my god, is this his patron? And then I kind of pushed that aside.
We also had that thought.
And then I wrote, what the fuck is up with Thorncroft? How much does she know? Is she into me? That's what I wrote at first. And there were so many things going on in Rosalind's head in that first conversation, but mostly she was just like, you know, like, there's not really a word for it, but it's just like whatever this emotion is of like, I don't understand. Like, I'm scared. What is this? What's happening?
Like, taken aback.
Yeah, because it's just not what she was expecting. Like, when Lyndon had said that he was getting governess for Rosalind, I was like, okay, it's a babysitter. I was like, okay, it's the Viscount is making sure I'm like not doing anything bad, and it also is to make it look good to society that we live together. And then this woman shows up who is so obviously like knows stuff, but Rosalind still wasn't sure if it was like the Viscount was testing her, because she was like, when she asked about the languages, and Rosalind was sort of like, I need to learn Latin. And then she was like, oh, you're interested in the forbidden languages then? And Rosalind was like, the reason I was like, like we were joking after this episode, like, so Rosalind core to meet one of the most powerful demons ever and be like, do you want to teach me some Spanish? But like, the reason was because she'd been like, forbidden though, that's like a forbidden thing, and like even though she seemed like she wanted Rosalind to do that,
she was saying it in a very suggestive way.
No, but Rosalind thought that was like her trying to catch Rosalind off guard to go tell the Viscount. Rosalind was like, this is a spy for the Viscount, like he's got this woman to find out how much I know, what I can do if I'm scheming behind his back. So that's why that whole first conversation, she'd gone really back into like early episodes society Rosalind, and she was trying to keep it really professional and really like what was expected of her, because she was like, oh, this woman's trying to trip me up, so she can go to the Viscount and be like this, and this. And
you failed a wisdom save.
I did.
And you had to tell her what you
desire. Yeah, that was a weird one.
We both completely missed that.
Yeah.
I think we were writing the message for the Dungeon Stone at this point.
That was really difficult, but I think that, more than anything else, has shown me how far Rosalind's come as a character, you know, in ways, because these characters surprise us, you know, like, we all have it, but that was the most Rosalind surprised me in a while, because what she said, because you two didn't hear.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I literally have no clue.
So she started, and again, I could almost barely speak, and it was weird because, like, I know I was compelled to speak and I had to, but, like, it was so hard to articulate because, so Rosalind sort of said, oh, I hope he's on camera now.
He's very warm.
Oh, the teapot is covering his face.
Let's make way for the baby.
Now? Look at the baby.
Can they see him?
Just hold him up for a bit.
Oh. Yeah, but he's asleep.
Okay.
Exactly.
But
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, so she was like, so first of all, she was like, I actually don't know what I want, which was honest because she was compelled to be honest. She was like, that's a really hard question for me to answer because all my life, all I've wanted is to be pleasing to others. Like, I don't know what I want. I don't think about that. And then it took her a second, and I think what she said was something along the lines of, I just want to be free and safe and away from all of this. And then she was done, and that was kind of what came out of her. And it really surprised me that she didn't say, I want my parents to love me, or I want my parents to value me. And it's not that she doesn't want those things anymore, and it's not that that isn't a massive driving force in her character still, but
they're not like
she wasn't compelled to say that as like, what is your biggest, most honest, deep desire right now? Was I want to be free and safe away from all of this. It wasn't, Mum, Dad, look at me. Like, you know, which it is. Like, that's why she's, you know, in this matter. But like, that isn't her deep desire anymore. And that, or I mean, it never was, but she didn't know that. And now she does. But she doesn't because she's not thought about it. But it was just one of those, that's the biggest time she surprised me recently. And I like that a lot for her character growth.
He was tucked into my arm.
Oh,
you handsome boy.
Wellington.
Oh, there we go.
Riley, what's that over there?
You want to sit up and say hello?
Do you want to wave to
Like a handsome boy.
Hello.
He's like our Oliver.
He's very sleepy. He's had a day
had a big
out.
day.
He's had a very long day.
And he's shedding, and my hands are sticky.
But yeah, this woman was also like coming on to Rosalind.
Yeah.
Like
Maybe
very
it's a good
strongly.
thing that I wasn't paying attention to.
No, because I was like, I'm so glad you weren't, because I was so shocked that like I could see that you guys were doing something.
Yeah.
But I was so like, oh, there's like no response to this, like when the scene was over, like retrospectively. And I was so relieved because really like, I mean, obviously like loads of people come onto Rosalind all the time, but like that was the most extremely like, I'm trying to seduce you in a way that I know you will be seduced.
Yeah.
Because it was like really playing on all her mummy issues.
Yeah.
Because like she was, I don't know if Lilith can like control her appearance, but she was really said like MILF. She really said like middle-aged woman.
And like, hello.
Oh, I'm
Sorry.
gonna cry.
Like, yes, people come onto Rosalind all the time. Men
Yeah.
come onto
Yeah.
Rosalind all the
No,
time.
this
like,
was the other
Talia's
thing.
never concerned
Yeah,
about
yeah.
men. Rosalind's a lesbian.
Yeah, this is the other thing that I was like, oh, Talia's such Maijais are not gonna like this. Because, yeah, like, we've actually never seen another woman, like, come onto
Other
Rosalind,
than, like, Diamond.
as
But
a
that's,
joke.
like,
Yeah,
not
but
real.
Yeah, that's
That's
like
more like
teasing,
Yeah.
yeah. But like, yeah, and it was a lot, and it like, Rosalind was just so thrown by it, and I think it's just one of those times where it makes me realise that Rosalind still doesn't really understand like sex or like sexual politics, because she kind of. She was sort of like, wait, is that what's happening? But she was like, no, surely not, because she was just so like, it's this governess, and also like because the way she was doing it wasn't the way. Again, it's because it was done in such a different way than what Rosalind is used to. Because Rosalind knows when men are interested in her, and she knows how men are interested in her. She knows how lower class men are and how society men are, and it is nothing like that.
No.
You know? And she was just so, like, thrown by it, and she was affected by it, but she wasn't, because she didn't really understand what was going on. And she was just scared, because she was just, like, she knew that she was being manipulated. I think I'll say that. Like, she was aware, like, oh, this woman is trying to get some response from me to tell the Viscount. That's what her brain was doing at that moment. But she was really, like, bowled over.
He's coming onto my lap. I'm just putting him there while I get
Yo,
Okay.
you the star of the show. Are
he's
you a
not
demon or a daughter?
I think he's a demon.
Toby.
There we go.
Oh my
You should get comfy again now. Oh, this shirt is really nice and it's Morne's and it's got blue and green, which is why I'm wearing it, but it's
Yeah.
far too hot,
Yeah.
so
Sorry.
it's coming off.
Yeah, my mum gave me this dress.
Walk off with Maijai.
Come on.
I wanted. Taya said that she has a
I've got.
matching
It's
one.
like it's the same
Similar
shade,
style, yeah.
but it is very warm.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, so I think that was the whole first conversation, was just like, what do you want to be educated in? And Rosalind was like, well, I like dancing and needlework and I'm scared. What's happening?
Yeah.
But like she knew she was being manipulated and she knew something bigger was going on. She just had no idea what. Like she was just so thrown by it. Because she'd also found out like an hour ago that she was getting a governess, and then this was so not what she'd expected.
Yeah.
Because like it just felt like this governess was trying to lead her to do wrong things and like make the Viscount annoyed. So she was just trying to not do that. And
You wrote a letter to Marianne.
I did,
Yeah.
which at the time of filming, I can literally give to Kitta, who I'm gonna see very
Tomorrow?
soon. Yeah.
If not
I
Sunday.
might not see tomorrow. But yeah, for another project that we're doing. So potentially, if Kitta wants to write a letter back in character, that could be some Patreon content coming for the patrons at some point, which would be really nice. But yeah, so she wrote to Marianne to basically be like, oh hey, the Viscount told me this story about this guy who was in the ballroom at the Moon Ball. You should probably be wary of your husband. Oh, and also I'm engaged, but like in a very coded, social niceties way. But yeah, I can put that letter on Patreon and any response that we get. But yeah, I think that was my whole first bit with the woman.
Was it Lila? Or
Lila Thorncroft.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then you guys were preparing for a ball, and you got some battle plans basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you continued your conversation. To be fair, we were just like, there's
We
about
were
happening.
waiting around.
Yeah,
for
but
a
you
while,
eavesdropped on Madam having
because-
her grief, which was so
I felt, because I knew you were like, oh, what, they're hiding something. but then turns out they were just hiding how sad they were.
Yeah.
And I felt like really like
I felt awful.
I felt so invasive.
Yeah.
I think that was some of Lyndon's most beautiful DMing, because he hates having conversations with himself as an NPC.
Yeah.
But that was so beautiful and natural and like just honest from both of those characters, and you could see that it was really like a private moment because they know they have to be strong for all the others and they can just be honest with each other.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful to see, and I'm really glad Lyndon included it.
Yeah.
I thought that was lovely.
Yeah.
You sent me a message,
Yes,
You did.
with your
and this is when you decided you were not going to tell me.
No.
Well, it wasn't
Which was
even,
for the best.
It wasn't
I
even, I mean, it was an active decision, but it wasn't like we wrote out the message, we counted the words, it was exactly 25 words. And then I looked at it for a bit, and then I turned to Morne and I was like, we've not actually mentioned Thomas.
Yeah.
And Morne went, we'll tell her when we see her.
I like that.
And I
I'm
was
very
like, yes.
grateful.
Yeah, there was a lot
every
of
level.
in these past 4 episodes. There's been a lot of me and Maijai kind
Conspiring.
of just, whispering to each other.
Yeah.
But it was nice because because I don't know about you, and therefore about you as well, because that's why Talia asked Agatha about like, to what extent are we getting involved in this?
Yeah.
Because Talia didn't want any magic to come out. But she was also like, if it's
It
what
has
Agatha
to,
needs, and
yeah.
if that's what we want, and if that's the situation that it calls for, if we want to have the opportunity of magic, that's when we go get Rosalind. Because Talia's never going to bring Rosalind into a fight where she's not allowed to use her magic.
Well, because Rosalind can't do anything.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point of bringing her in?
But that was a really, like, I don't know, moment. Because, and I think what it was a moment of, we're not keeping secrets, we're not, like, not sharing, we're just saying, like, this is not the fight for you if we're saying no magic.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the whole way around you two, like, crafting that message. I thought that was really interesting and lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was mainly you that wrote that. So, but
Yeah, but if you confirmed, like, no, we'll tell her when we see her.
Yeah.
That's, for me, is the most important bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Because I feel, because I don't know about
so
you,
heartbreaking. Rosalind needs to be there for the funeral. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
but I think that,
Rosalind's gonna sing. Sorry.
yeah, I think that,
Please don't sing at my dead boyfriend's funeral.
Oh.
I,
I'm in the same little lullaby that she tells.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
It's her
fine.
funeral tradition.
because I think that the girls sat down and wrote out those 25
Yeah.
words as
Yeah.
well, because they know that it's 25
That's
words.
how I saw it.
And like I literally imagined it happening the way that we did
Agatha
it.
would not have willy-nilly that.
No, that's what I mean though. Like I
Willy-nilly.
imagine that like Talia wrote out a sentence, checked it with Agatha,
Yeah.
and Agatha was like, yes.
Yes.
And-
When you were like at the table doing it, I was seeing you in your room at the Velvet Masquerade
Yeah.
doing it.
The bit about the piano, by the way, Talia wasn't just randomly going to start playing. She's got a song that like she had in mind that was like for the just go.
Why is our DM leaving the studio during filming? Rude.
He's got keys as well. I think he's going to his car.
Who's not got... I don't know. Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It was going to be like she has a piece that's like kind of melancholy, but kind of like because she writes music. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
how
thought that it was what you were doing.
deals with things, and it was going to be one of those where it actually wasn't going to be getting back at Rose or like trying to annoy Rose. It was
Yeah.
just going to be like I think this would bring everybody together in this moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like Talia needs something to do. I guess I'll try and
piss
fix
off
the
Rose.
piano.
Yeah.
And then
Just to
No,
clarify.
I got that.
because you wrote him a note, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah.
Because I've written him a letter which I am
God, that's
planning.
gonna destroy everyone.
Yeah.
So obviously I did not know Thomas was going to die today, so
I can't believe that's so wrong.
I
to
just
say.
wrote a letter, like when Lyndon was focusing on Taya. I was like, okay, and I'm just gonna write a letter. So I got a letter written in like 10 minutes maybe, and
Is it bad?
I'm
Is it a
gonna
lot?
weep.
it's not. I don't know.
I guess
It's
we'll find out when
either
we hear
going
it,
to be
yeah.
like really underwhelming, or like it's just enough. Like
I
it's
don't
it's
think it
not
could
like
be underwhelming.
it's not like chariots and white flowers type things.
What time to bring that up?
But it's very.
I need to make a compilation of all the deranged fucking roasts you say on this fucking Teapot show.
But yeah, God, that's gonna be heartbreaking.
I'm gonna be
I
devastated.
I don't know if I'm gonna write
what
Talia wrote to Thomas, because I don't think it's being read out.
No.
Like that's to be
But
buried
what was
with
the
him.
gist of it? Unless you don't want to say. Just like a
If
farewell.
it's private,
I think
like...
it was some sort of goodbye to him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But
yeah.
I don't know what specifically was in it, and I think if it was public for people to know, it would be in a way that people were allowed to know.
No, I agree.
But it's not been.
Okay.
But that's not
given to
Talia's
anyone.
style, you know. That's not what Talia would do. That felt
completely
private.
fair.
And I think like I felt her doing it, so I don't need to know the words that were written to know what
the
it
feeling
meant.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I do think though, because when I've written letters before in this show, I draft them, I like get nice pieces of paper, and I like really sit there and I slave over it, and then this was just like bunged out in like maybe less than 10 minutes. So.
But I feel like that's kind of how Agatha did it as well. Like
we'll see.
she might have spent more time on it, but
for me it just felt like outpouring of immediate emotion.
Yeah.
Which like doesn't take time or effort.
Yeah.
You know.
We will see.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you have more conversation.
Yeah, because I got your message.
Yes.
And I responded.
Yes.
And I then immediately, Rosalind sent her response. And the reason she didn't she didn't use up all the words and she didn't really elaborate on anything was because she was panicking, because that was during the first conversation where she still thought this was just like a governess spy, trying to manipulate her or into like whatever. And she really was just like in this panic of like, okay, I can't let anybody see this, blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't like a brushed off thought, but it was I have to quickly respond and that's that, because like she couldn't think about it or it would show, you know, because she knew this woman was sat across from her, like studying her basically, she was being very intensely watched in that moment. And I'm so impressed she rolled a fucking 27 to get away with it, like fucking slay for my girl, to be honest. But like, yeah, and I mean, I know I said it to you guys earlier, but like, I think because of how it was phrased, Rosalind was really like, she was alarmed by it, but in that first initial like reading, it didn't feel that out of the ordinary, because it was like, oh, we know that the Velvet Masquerade and the Ratcliffe Runners are at odds, like we kind of knew something was brewing there. We know that now apparently our life is, there are fights sometimes, you know, that's kind of our daily like thing at the minute.
Because that was the other thing, I didn't know whether to say like fight, battle or war, but again it was like but it was, you know, so she didn't necessarily think of it as something that out of the ordinary. Like she knew that you wouldn't have said the magic thing or like the exposure thing, because she also initially interpreted that as being like exposing, you know, her being in Ratcliffe when she's supposed to be the fiance of this Viscount. But there was a whole lot of things. So she knew it wasn't like insignificant, but she didn't think it was like massive, comparatively. And so yeah, she was very like, if I can be there, I will, but I'm not gonna like risk myself for it or like really put myself in danger, which she would have done had she known the full situation, I think. Yeah. But I also think that this isn't a major battle.
No.
Compared to like what these girls, you know, like this actually, I think the thing was like, we knew that you didn't actually have to be there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but I was really like, we're winning this, regardless of whether or not we have Rosalind there. Because
Rosalind's only main concern was like, who's going to heal you all.
Yeah.
That was the main thing, was more about being a healer than about anything anything else she could do. But and then she worried, because obviously she did her reply really quick because she couldn't think about it. And to say anything of her situation would have required thought and planning of the words, which is why hers was so short and didn't say any of her stuff. Because she would have had to think about it and then it would have been obvious. Yeah. So and then she immediately did worry that like there are complications would like make you guys worried, but...
Yeah. And
But that was the best way she could be like, I can't explain, but I, you know, it might be really hard for me, but I can't explain why, you know?
Yeah. But again, it was one of those where it's like, Talia had that moment of like, fuck, we need to go save Rosalind. And then it was like, no, complications could mean anything.
Yeah. And also she's fine, because if she was in immediate danger, she would have said more in the message if she had room.
Yeah. And that's what it was. Like, Talia really, it was really quick and I didn't actively do it, but like she worked through all of that of like, she had that moment of panic and then was like, no, complication could mean anything.
Yeah.
Complication could mean the Viscount has asked to take me out in the evening.
Because at this point, complication was, like, first of all, she actually didn't know when she'd been asked to see Faustus. I asked that afterwards.
Yeah.
So that could have been tonight, because the last time I was taken to the opera, it was the same day plan. And at this point, I didn't know anything about what the governess actually was.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was just like, oh, I've now got somebody whose job is to watch me day and night. It was just like, actually, it is going to be really hard for me now.
Yeah.
And if she is, because I knew that she was being manipulative and weird and probably feeding back to the Viscount, it was just like, you know, that was what she meant by complication. And the fact that Archie was gone and, like, all of this stuff happened.
But again, I think, like, the phrasing of it was that of, like, oh, it's not that urgent and it's not the end of the world and she'll be there if she can and she won't if she won't, but it's not because some disaster has happened.
Yes, she's not dying, you know? Yeah. She's not in a dungeon. Like, she's fine. But yeah.
Not a dungeon, and my dungeon... Hello?
my
dragons and dungeons.
Dachshunds and dragons.
Oh,
he's a baby.
I woke him up. I feel bad.
Yeah.
But
I'll go back to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like,
I just want to like squeeze him. I love him.
And and then I tried to get some more info out of her. I was kind of like, oh, do you know about these pearls? And she kind of didn't really give me anything.
No.
Oh, I remember
she did stare at my
Tahiti
tits though. That was when she was like, oh yeah, exquisite, and she was really like. But then I was like, maybe she is just staring at the pearls. I don't know. But that was a moment that Rosalind had, because Rosalind still didn't really understand that she was being like, yeah. But that was a moment, because that's something men do to her, and that was something that she was like. But then she didn't know if it was the necklace.
That Talia was feeling jealous, but how sway would it be if Rosalind lost her virginity to a demon?
Maijai does not think that's a slay idea at all. But yeah, I can't believe, like, but that's, like, really not the worst thing she did. Like, the lip thing could lose her virginity really, to like...
Viscount, which
I'm not going to do that.
I know.
I'm not going to do that. But
I'm joking.
But yeah, no, in that first conversation, she called Rosalind a good girl.
I did remember hearing that and being like...
She talked a lot about, like, what are your desires? Tell me your desires. I want to get to know you. You want to make me proud. Like, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of, like, telling Rosalind what to do in a very, like, sultry way. And then she shushed Rosalind by putting her finger to her lips and then, like, running it over her lips.
Yeah. Talia is really...
Talia doesn't know any of this.
No.
So you can calm down.
Yeah, but... No, actually, opposite. Talia's really like, that's not the way to do it.
Lol. Talia's like cringe.
Yeah. No, because I'm like, I'm sorry, you think the thing to do is tell this girl what to do and what to feel?
Lol.
So actually, I'm actually more comforted by knowing what was said.
Fair. But like...
Regardless of whether it worked or not, Talia's really like...
Ew.
Yeah. Talia's really like, gross, actually. That's...
yeah.
Even if she like thinks it's kind of like... She's not gonna love you.
Yeah. No, because that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like, even if Rosalind is into it like a bit, like, it's not serious. It's not, like, real. You know? It's not anything.
Yeah.
But, anyway. That was before. That was when Rosalind was still just like, what is happening? But yeah, she kind of didn't tell me anything about anything. So then I went upstairs, and that was when Rosalind was like, right, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And this is when I came up with my plan to go and ask the Viscount to get them all arrested because he's a powerful rich man. And, you know, she'd just been to Newgate and heard that, like, oh, if you have enough money, you can just do anything, basically.
Yeah,
so she was like,
that's fair.
yeah, my fiancé can get a whole gang arrested.
Yeah.
You know? And I just think that was actually a valid plan. Because the other thing... Oh, no, that was the other thing that Oh, no, she hadn't said that yet. Sorry, I was getting confused. But basically, there was a lot of talk about, like, trust. And, you know, Rosalind had asked, oh, are you my chaperone then, like, 24/7? And she was like, yes. And, like, I'm here to protect you from any gossip or, like, advances. Like, I am here to protect your reputation. And, like, you know, like, she was really like, I'm here 24/7. Like, so Rosalind was really like, oh, I actually don't want to lie to you and sneak out because then nobody's ever going to trust me again and I'm never going to be allowed to do anything again. Which was why she inevitably decided, like, she wasn't even going to try and, like, get out.
Yeah.
Because she just knew that there was such a slim chance of it succeeding, and if it failed, she would never be able to try anything like that ever again, you know, and it would be so much harder for her to do anything like that again.
Was that the sleigh thing that you were like, if she was going to do it, she will do it? Or was there a different sleigh thing?
So that was the audacious plan I came up with that I told you, was just to go and ask the Viscount to get rid of them all.
Right.
But like no, I had an idea of like, as Taya, like in one of the breaks, I was like, oh, what I'll do if I do go by myself. And what I was gonna do was like, when all the Ratcliffe runners were like amassed somewhere, I was gonna be like hidden on like another building, because this is a 30-foot range spell. And I was gonna use my thaumaturgy to just like make them hear a really like creepy, ominous voice telling them to leave the Velvet Masquerade alone forever. Nice. And then I was going to use my thaumaturgy to do like lights flickering and like thunder rumbles.
That's cool.
And I was basically just going to scare them off with illusions.
Nice.
That was my plan if Rosalind, if she had got there. But she knew very quickly that she wasn't.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah. So then, I went down to see the Viscount and asked him to do that. And what actually happened instead was I ended up asking him a bunch of stuff, like big stuff, which she sort of led with, because she was her tactic there was like, because Rosalind knows people, and she knows how to talk to people to get what she wants, and she was really like, if I go in playing my like sad, hurt little girl card that you lied about my brother and everything, then you have to do something for me, because it was that like, well, you lied to me and I'm really upset about it because I thought I was going to be your wife like properly, but then it wasn't. So do you want to like do a favour for me and get rid of this gang? Like, it wasn't that, but that was the order of she chose to speak in. But actually what ended up happening was the Viscount being like, well, I wasn't in control of that. He was like, that wasn't my choice to do that. Like, I understand how that must have looked to you. I didn't choose it.
I will say, before we move on to what actually happened, I, with Talia so close to me, really enjoyed watching you play the Viscount like that. I was really like...
I enjoy it because I am so like not at the table as Taya when Rosalind is here. But every now and again I get like this sort of out of body watching Rosalind. Like, I don't know if either of you have this for your girls. Like, I know you kind of do. Like, when she's, because sometimes I'm just taken aback by the things that come out of her mouth, and it was when she was like, but like, I'm heartbroken. She was like, I have the heart of a young girl who loves you. I was like, I thought I was gonna be your wife. I was really like, I was gagged. I was like, the audacity of this bitch.
It's like, oh.
But I mean, it worked enough for him to like explain that like he's not in control, which I actually think was kind of a slay, like kind of success for Rosalind. Because he was like, oh, it was a patron of mine, and Rosalind was like, what does that mean? And he was like, oh, it's somebody who's taught me and given me a lot, that when they speak, I listen. And Rosalind was like, and that was really, do you know what? I actually had a lot of fun in that conversation as Rosalind, understanding that the Viscount is not a powerful man. Because like, I know about you guys watching it like as viewers, every time the Viscount, because when he said that, Rosalind was like, you're making that sound better than it is. Like, you do what this person says. Rosalind was really like, oh.
And like, didn't she call him her pet?
Her pet. Yeah. That Rosalind was like...
Yeah.
That was the best moment.
That was so good.
Yeah. That was so good.
We'll get there. But like, no, because it was when Rosalind asked, like, directly, she was like, okay, how much does this bitch know then? And he was like, a bit of something, and he was like, I promise she's not gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
And Rosalind was like, that's not what I asked.
Yeah, I was like,
what? But then it was because then she just appeared in the room and she was like, don't flounder like a fool, Edward, and then like answered for him.
No, because I was like, really like, you just first named him.
No, every time she was like, Edward, Rosalind was like, because like it so takes away his power to call him Edward. Like 8. And yeah, every time but that first like inkling that he wasn't in charge was really Rosalind, like, she was still really scared because she was like, oh god, no, there's somebody worse that's controlling you, and they don't feel about me the way you potentially do in whatever extent that you do, so I can't manipulate them as much. But like, whatever, but she was still enjoying that he wasn't really as powerful as like she'd first thought. Yeah. And then when she asked that direct question, she was really like, oh, I've hit something here and you're being sort of honest with me, so I'll keep, trying. Because that was like also she didn't know the next time she'd be alone in a room with him again. She was like, I have to make use of this opportunity because this woman might come in at any point and be like, inappropriate, whore, stop it. So she really was like, oh, this is actually my chance to ask everything. And then, he sort of didn't know how to answer. Stop floundering like a fool.
That was good.
Like, I wrote that down in my notebook because I was like, that's so slay to say to the Viscount. Like, it immediately just took away all his power, didn't it, Welly? Yes, it did. And yeah, that was so good. And then, it was explained to me. She really, like, held no prisoners with, like, this man is nothing. Like, she really, like, she didn't look at him at all. She was just talking to Rosalind. Like, he was this, like, prop in the room that she would refer to, and he would only look at her or the floor because he was fucking embarrassed that Rosalind was finally seeing that he's not big and scary. I mean, he is, because he is way more powerful than me, but like,
but like not like he tried to make out.
It's actually the doggy show now, isn't it? But
I'm sorry,
like,
Dogs also yap.
But she really like was like, this man is just a prop, like, he is nothing. Because she was like, Rosalind was like, what does that mean? Like, what does patron mean?
But
because what she said was like, I've written it down. I wrote down a bunch of notes about this last conversation. I've written more notes in that last, like, episode than this is all from that bit. Because it was, what is it? Everything he does and everything he can do is at my behest because I say so. Rosalind was like, oh...
Thank you. That is a big fucking ice cube.
Ice cube.
Look, this is for you.
Look at it. Can I cool you down?
Look at his nose.
Little ice lolly for you. Nice.
It's stuck to the tray.
He can lick it.
Ice cube.
He's like, no. He's like, what the fuck is this that you're putting in my face?
It's nice and cold.
But yeah, she said everything he does and everything he can do is at my behest and my will. I was like, oh, okay then. And that was like, that conversation was so interesting because Rosalind was so terrified because she realised how out of her depth she was with this woman. But at the same time, it was so satisfying every time. It was like, oh, the Viscount is nothing. Because the level of scared Rosalind is of the Viscount, or like has been until this point, is so extreme. And it was just so fun. My little pet. I was like...
That was the best thing.
8.
And I really like it in terms of like our show, like we're back to like, oh no, women are in charge.
No, literally. And like he just thinks he does and he pops around in society. And actually it's this like big scary woman who's like pulling the strings. I was like, yes, actually. But yeah, so then that episode I believe ended with her introducing herself to me. She was like, I'm his patron.
He was like, let me introduce you to my patron, Lilith. Was how that episode ended. And we were like,
what do you mean, Lilith? And it was then very quickly established with OS and the DM, I don't know if it ended up on camera, that like, because of how Regency beliefs were and the way we were raised, we don't know who that is. We don't know what that means.
No.
Rosalind certainly doesn't. What she knows is that's not a sorcerer, because she asked, are you the same as me then? Because she knew that the Viscount got his power from her, so she was like, okay, so he's not the same because he gets his power from an external thing. But my power comes from me and so does yours, so are we the same? And she was like, no, I'm much more powerful, but you're not ready for that yet, was what she was like, you're not ready to hear what I am yet. Which...
Because demon
was so scary, because that is a demon. That is a whole demon. And Rosalind was just there that morning, like, well, I really like sewing to this demon, which is so funny. Rosalind really met like one of the most powerful demons ever, and was like, well, I could learn some Spanish if Latin's a bit like not good. But something much bigger. Another thing that I wrote down from this conversation was the talk about Frederick, which. We know Rosalind is on a journey with her view of Frederick at the minute since the letter that you wrote. What really got me in that was it had kind of flipped the way people normally talk about Rosalind and Frederick, because Lilith was like, your father failed, but that's not a blemish on you. Usually it's like, oh, Rosalind's like failed and Rosalind's a girl and whatever, but like her family's still great and Frederick's the best, and like that's how it's been talked about by Jonathan and like by everyone. And this was the first time it had ever been the other way around. For Rosalind and anyone in her family. It had ever been they're not good, but that doesn't reflect badly on you. Like that Rosalind really like had a moment with.
Yeah. Do you know what concerns me slightly?
How easily manipulated Rosalind is going to be by this woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, it's very slay, everything that this woman is doing, and I love it, but also, like...
There's something, like, there's something else going on. Because this is the thing, she said that our goals have aligned, and as far as I know, they have. It is true. We want to close the gate and stop all the demons coming in. However, sorry, what do you mean I'm going to be the Queen of England? No, because I've been joking for so long. Since the start of this game, I've been like, Rosalind's going to seduce the king and become the Queen of England. La la ha ha. Lyndon really just sat there and pulled "when you're queen" on me.
Yeah. But I'm just waiting for Rosalind to be like, well, we don't have to kill 17 people.
No,
like,
stop. Because
I can get somewhere closer. You can have more royalty in the bloodline if you want. That's easy for me to do. I'm waiting for her to do that.
But the thing is, I think she's not... Well, first of all, she's not comfortable questioning their plans, because she kind of said that Lilith was like, oh, you look uncomfortable. And Rosalind was like, yeah, I'm really out of my depth. Like, you two are so much more than me, and this is also... But, like, she... Like, obviously, there's a reason Lilith hasn't made... Oh my god! Hasn't made anyone closer to the throne or patron, you know. For whatever reason, it is the Viscount Edward Sollingham that she has chosen. And because, you know, she's got him up to level fucking whatever, like, you know what I mean? She's trained him. He's her pet. You know.
Do you want to go up?
Oh my god, put him on the table, please. Let's move all of this.
Go on then.
Here you go. But yeah, Rosalind was so shook by that. She was really like, what the fuck is this plan? Like, what have I gotten myself into? I thought I was like doing this little thing. But she was also like, as much as I know that there's more to this plan and it's going to be really bad probably, Rosalind actually doesn't. Like, Rosalind is still very, like, she doesn't trust either of them. But she's
going to be well annoyed about that.
I know, but the gang will love it.
ASMR in it.
Yeah. Dog licking eyes while we talk about Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, she was really like, your plan's valid. If the Viscount can do this ritual, it does keep everyone safe. It does save everyone.
It does mean killing 17 other
people. It does,
people.
which Rosalind hasn't clocked yet. Once she gets to that, I don't know how she'll feel. However, I did have a concerning Rosalind thought, which I wrote down, which is, as much as it wasn't in her deepest desires and she is working through it, there was a moment of, oh my god, if I'm the Queen of England, like, they really can't say anything. Like, they really have to, like, love me and be proud of me. Like, which was a bit deranged, but that was a fleeting thought. Yeah. But yeah, so then Rosalind did her plan of asking.
As a Viscountess,
yeah,
would you be higher ranked than Georgiana?
Yeah. Because the reason Rosalind wanted to marry the Viscount in the first place is because he's higher ranked than her dad.
Right.
It goes Baronet, Viscount, like, that's...
Something else.
It's Baronet, Viscount, and then it's like... No, it's like... Because Duke and Earl are, like, up the top, and then there's, like, another one in the middle, but... Oh...
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah, so the point is that, yeah, she wants to outrank her parents.
Nice.
Like, that was always her plan, to make them be proud of her.
Cool.
But yeah, so Rosalind is really not really, like, I think it was really obvious from the episode, but she was so bowled over by all of that information and just like, what do you mean this is the plan? And like, all the talk of like, you'll be a really formidable couple and like,
the amount that they said so formidable, much. I was really like, okay.
I was really like, oh, you want me to be your new Viscount? Like, we're going to be the same and we're going to be just like your little like puppet couple that you're going to put on the throne. But whatever, Rosalind hasn't really thought... Rosalind doesn't know how she feels about this woman, like, at all. She's really, really thrown by all of it. But she does really enjoy how pointless the Viscount is. Because then Rosalind asked the Viscount her plan, because she was like, okay, regardless of whatever you are, socially you're the one with the power still. Yeah. And, you know, she did keep looking to the Viscount in that conversation for stability, because that's the one, you know, she knows what the dynamic there is. And she did her plan, which was asking to get them all in prison. And no, he's quite happy. Oh, baby. I should put his ice here in case he wants it.
Yeah, very nice. Yes, you asked the Viscount because socially he's got power.
And Lilith talked for him and answered for him and made the plan for him, and he was irrelevant.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that he didn't even come with us.
Yeah.
I love that so much. So she was like, and I can see as Taya that was her way of like winning Rosalind's trust, because it was obvious Rosalind like didn't know how to feel. But at the same time, it kind of worked, because Rosalind was like, okay, I know the Viscount made this deal with me to like protect my friends and family, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And she just kind of proved that, yeah, I'll do that, you know?
Yeah.
So she's fucking powerful. So she magically changed my appearance and then magically transported us to Ratcliffe. Wherein she had big leathery demon wings and big claws, with which she ripped a face and half a skull off and then killed 5 men, which our deaths Rosalind is directly responsible for, which is not something Rosalind's never had before or dealt with before.
I think that was really sway of her, but also Richard specifically said he wants to kill the cobbler.
Yeah, I hate that. Like, because obviously Rosalind didn't know that. Like,
no, that
Rosalind
and
didn't
like
know anything.
I don't.
All Rosalind knew was like, oh, there's immediate danger tonight, and I can do something about it, so I will. And that's why she was so scared when Lilith was like, let's go now then. But she was like, oh, have I done it? Have I helped then? Like, because she knew her plan with the Viscount would work, but she didn't think it would be like that immediately. Okay, we'll sort it out now then. You know. She was not prepared for what she then witnessed. Like, that was quite overwhelming. Like, she was very scared, but she was also like overwhelmed and like not processing it. But at the same time, I had a very scary thought, which I wrote down, which was, because obviously I didn't know what she was, and then she sprouted her things, her appendages, and Rosalind's brain obviously was immediately scared and recognised demonic traits. And then what she thought was, but Talia does that too. Like, Talia looks kind of like that, and Talia's not bad, so it doesn't necessarily mean she's bad. She's like Talia.
Shit.
Rosalind now thinks she's the same as whatever Talia is, but like really powerful or really similar.
I did not
which
even think
is
of that.
really bad, because as Taya, I'm like, I know this bitch is a demon. But like Rosalind was just like, but that doesn't make her bad, because that's like what Talia is.
Yeah, I didn't even think
because the
of
first thing that happened was the elongated fingers, the claws.
And I was like, oh, Rosalind knows that. That's the same as Talia.
That, I will say.
Oh my god.
That get you jealous.
That got me jealous. That got me really jealous. That was me. That I was like, that's my role. That's what
What's
I do.
bad is, if any of this seduction works, Rosalind is kind of confirmed monster fucker. You know, like, it's kind of like 1, maybe like 2 times. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's actually really embarrassing. But
did she find any of it like?
No, not that bit, because that was so horrifically gruesome and graphic and unexpected, and it happened within seconds of her suggesting a very different plan, and she didn't expect it to have happened immediately. She didn't expect to be there. Like, she didn't know what was going on. Like, she didn't even know what the danger, what all of this was. She just knew she had to get rid of the Ratcliffe runners. So Rosalind, and I think if you watch the episode back, you can probably see, like, she was terrified. Like, Rosalind was just afraid
assumed
and
so.
overwhelmed.
I didn't know if, like, retrospectively.
No, not that bit. If anything got to her, it was all the, like, initial stuff.
Yeah.
But she didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So, like, you know. But yeah, I guess that's where we left Rosalind, was convinced this woman was, however scary and, you know, terrifying and untrustworthy and bigger than Rosalind she was on the same page, wanted the same goals, protected you, got rid of the Ratcliffe runners, is better than the Viscount, treats the Viscount like shit, which I enjoy, and apparently I'm gonna become the Queen of England so that we can do this ritual and, you know, make things better, which Rosalind doesn't like any of this, and she doesn't like these situations, but she's going with them, you know. They're what is right for her, and that's all she can do, and it's helping in her head. So don't like any of that from a player perspective, but that's where Rosalind's at.
I'm
and
slightly concerned about our plan to kill him once you're married.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. But now I'm like, oh, he's irrelevant. But he's not. Yeah. But then you two had, and you as DM, the most cinematic, beautiful, you in your revenge moment. Oh my god. And you two as this team, I was enthralled. When I say this was like watching the season finale of like my favourite TV show, like, the 3 of you, because the way you DM'd that was stunning. Like, I was enthralled. 10 out of 10 poetic cinema. Like, it was so cinematic. Like I could see it all in such detail, like
I
viscerally.
could see all of it.
Like everything, but like you guys talk now because it's your thing.
Okay.
You go first because it was you first.
Oh god, I don't even know what to say. Just like
You started shooting.
yeah,
Oh no, you found the mess that we left.
we found that, and there was a
moment between us. We didn't really speak about anything, but I don't know about you. The moment for me, because we like had a look at each other and then we carried on because Richard told us to keep going. That for me was like, Rosalind's done something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Richard said the angel comment as well, I was like,
Yeah, because like we could tell that was not done by a human.
Yeah.
You've seen the work of demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, oh shit, what has she promised? Like, what has she done to get this to happen? I was, not. But again, it was all moving so quickly. It was
You
like,
couldn't focus
I'll
on
think
that.
about that later. And now we're going off to the rat's tail.
Yeah, and that was all a bit of a blur for me, to be honest, because
You stayed outside first.
I stayed outside for a bit. You went inside.
The
You
kids.
had kids, and that was very good that you like
Yeah.
you
That-
got them out.
Yeah, because again, that was like Talia having this feeling about not knowing whether or not to fight.
Mm.
And then hearing children. It was
God,
really
yeah.
like...
It was. I felt like, oh, the minute that the kids are out, we can go batshit crazy. But for the time being,
I think it was, again, just really beautiful DMing from Lyndon, the conversation between you and the woman.
yeah,
Because it was really one of those, like, oh, actually, once again, I think these 4 episodes actually really grounded the, like, the woman focus of our show. Of, like, that was woman to woman. Like, and though you knew that those women were not your enemy and they were not doing anything wrong, they were just in their house trying to defend themselves.
No, because I was like, they're women.
Like, yeah. And I just think the way Lyndon played that conversation out was really gorgeous.
Yeah.
And like between you two, it was a
and
really
they were
good
like,
moment.
you could just tell that they were like scared and they had all the children with them. And
It was so like poignant and like real and like it was so much.
And then the moment for me, because I was really like, I don't know how I'm going to get these kids out. And I really was like, one of them's going to die. I know one of them's going to die. I'm not going to be able to get all of these children out. And then it was when I came out and like, because it was so hard to speak because I was really just like, why are they in here?
Yeah.
And it was when I came out and I saw the other men and I was like, I'm about to have to fight these. And like, I will fight anybody who tries to stop me. And then, like, I couldn't get anything out other than, like, children. And they were instantly like, cool down. Nobody's going to fight you.
Yeah.
Like, they will get them out. Don't worry. And I was like, okay, I'm not on the bad side.
Yeah.
Not that there was really a good side or a bad side, but I was like...
If anyone's going to keep firing around children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't want to be supporting them if they're going to fight me on it. Like...
Yeah.
And they didn't. And that was really like,
And the minute those kids were safe, that was when we were like, okay, we're going in now.
Yeah.
Well, that was,
You
as
two.
soon as I saw you going in, I was like, okay, time to go protect the other one.
The way when you described how you were moving and you were just like human shielding and just like holding the space physically for Agatha to do what Agatha needed to do was stunning. Like, I'm in awe at that whole sequence.
It was really a lot.
Yeah. Like, I do feel very conflicted about it, because I'm like, I mean, yes, I've killed a man who killed my boyfriend, but also, like, I used a gun, and, like, that's very not Thomas Core.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll see how... I think, I think Aggie needs a bit of, like, a cooling down period.
And she'll get
not
it.
Gonna give her one.
Well,
At least let me have the funeral, please.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking is for the funeral.
But it was so cinematic the way your first shot just like got the ear and then you moved around and you were in front, and then the second one you held, the way you described holding his eye contact the whole time. But you two, oh my god.
Yeah.
I physically felt like my posture was so
enthralled by you.
physically felt like something was like pushing on my shoulders, because I was like, I can't, like,
If you watch it back, I think I'm really like,
I was like,
in
I
awe of
can't
you.
move right now. I have to just stare in Lyndon's eyes, and I
So
don't.
good.
I've never so much, because it was in that moment, and it was right at the beginning, when I'd like first heard that Thomas was dead, and like I knew that you were in the room. I've never felt so much like the physical need to like move to you, to either like hold you, comfort you, or like be in front of you. Like I've never so much felt my body want to do everything that Talia is doing, really in like a
physical.
Yeah, more than just like a I know that's what's happening, in like a whoa. It was and it was so like, the thing that I found really nice about it is it like none of it was spoken about before. Like we like the girls didn't talk about what their plan was going to be. They didn't talk about how they were going to do it. Like none of it was discussed, but they both sort of knew how it was going to go.
They felt each other.
And that was really
beautiful.
Yeah. That was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was really doing a lot of swooning, I think, at the table. When you, like, grabbed the barrels of the guns, my inner was really, like, I did really all over the place.
Yeah, sometimes I say unhinged epic hero moment.
That was so good.
But I was really like, if it's 15 or 20 feet, I've got 40-foot movement. I can get there so quickly. And, like, I'm going to be stronger than them. I can just hold the guns.
But yeah, this relationship today, I think, was really like the star.
Which is really nice, because at our last talks we were like, oh, they're going to beef and it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole thing with the cards isn't 100% resolved yet. Because you need to learn how to control them.
Yeah.
But now you know it's not Talia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Now
I feel
we
like
sort of know how they can be used for us rather than being used by them. And I don't know how to go about it, and I don't know like how we find that out. But
it would have been fun if the cards gave you the death card before Thomas was dead.
Would it have been fun?
Would it have been fun?
Is that fun?
I guess not.
I also...
Well, it was also never guaranteed that he would die, you know, because it's a D&D game. In a like meta storytelling sense.
So true.
Yeah.
But
like by the time Maijai was at the table, he was already dead.
Yeah.
So
Jesus.
It was a lot. And like... Yeah.
Wow.
But it was nice for them to have something to bring them back together, considering that they were separate.
Yeah.
And one, that they'd physically separated, and two, that they were sort of distancing from each other, because now I think they're together again.
Oh, they're now like tight.
Talia's not going to leave Agatha on her own.
No.
Which is again one of those like, I don't know, Talia so doesn't care about anyone, like, ever. And then when she does, she's really like, I will drop everything for whatever this person needs. And that's really, like, her immediate go-to for anybody that she cares about is, it doesn't matter, I'll do whatever you need me to do. Which probably still isn't the best response to things. But it's really, like, that is her version of, like, loyalty to people. It's like, anything that you ask of me, anything that you need, I will, whatever's going to help you, I will do it, and I will do it to the best of my power.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the slightly dangerous, but, like, it's one of the things that I really, like, when I look back, I'm really like, oh, like, that's something to, like, love about her.
This is, the other thought I had coming out of this was, after this arc, we're seeing a lot of the darkness in Talia. And it's really lovely when you're reminded of all the good things about her as well.
Yeah.
Like, Talia said hero in that last bit, honestly. Like, but the two of you together really, like, was so beautiful. So beautiful.
I love you.
But yeah. And then that was...
I think that's it.
So...
You counted out how many people you'd killed. You know that.
I did.
I know for a fact that I've killed 2 people. Yeah. I wasn't counting anything else.
Talia always counts. Fun fact. Talia always counts how many people she's killed.
I propose that as well as favourite moments from this lot of episodes, we do a favourite Thomas moment. If that's not going to make us all cry, I just think we should.
Let's start with favourite moment of the episodes. Of the 4.
You two at the end. You two in battle mode and you killing that man as revenge.
That will
for
have
me.
to be my favourite.
You holding eye contact with him.
It was good. That was a good moment.
10 out of 10. That's one of, like, I think when we look back, one of the best moments of the campaign.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed with that.
Yeah.
Spy.
Yeah.
Favourite moment?
Of the show or Thomas?
No, of those 4 episodes.
Lots, too many.
Name one.
All the big ones that I threw in.
Lilith.
I gave one to each of you.
And
so.
Thomas dying. And the cards.
I did enjoy finding out about that's my like secondary one on like for moving forward thing. I do enjoy that there's now like something tangible about the cards.
Yeah.
And that I know somebody who knows about the cards.
That's very good.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Morne.
Favourite Thomas moment?
It has to be
What's your favourite moment in general?
It has to be the talk about the cottage. Yeah, talking about the cottage. I felt like that was that's just like I don't know. I just really liked that moment.
Yeah. I think
I'm just like a bit right now.
I think my favourite moment with Thomas would either be the like first time that we did a workout together.
Yeah.
Or
And
like
we were like
sitting
like
in the
the garden.
Yeah,
Like no, we're not.
Oh
we're
my
not
God,
looking.
yeah.
So it's either that or it's like us pushing Agatha around in the wardrobe.
Yeah, the wardrobe is up there for me. And just like the way he was at the fish and chip shop when you two, because that was the first time you were like, well, we could teach. You could teach me. You could read with me if you want. And it was really sweet. And just every time he like his whole dynamic with you as well.
Yeah.
And the fact he's a pacifist.
Yeah.
Favorite Thomas moment.
His death.
I should have known.
Well, you did ask.
Well, tell us your favourite Thomas moments, because we want to know them, and I'm sure I will be posting Thomas-related content once this is no longer spoilers.
Closing thoughts?
I'm terrified for Rosalind.
Yeah. My closing thought is I've had a thought of something that Talia's going to do in the future, and she's now had the thing that's going to set it off happen. She's now had the thought that's going to make it happen, which is confusing to all of you, but I know what I mean. So that is my closing thought. I think that might happen.
My closing thought is I just want to have this funeral done.
Yeah. Say goodbye to my puppy.
My Willie, the star of
Thank
the
you
show.
again, Mum Attack.
Yeah.
And thank you all of our followers, patrons.
Speaking of patrons,
Shit.
I don't want to
Like, comment, subscribe, anything to help us.
Yes,
but we just enjoy
love
you watching.
Thank you for
let us
being
know what
part
you
of
enjoy.
this journey with us.
Much love.